Salutations from space and aloha from Earth. This is Gemini Brett with Stellarium Training Video Part 2 for our Sacred Astronomy web course. Let's first check out the chart for right now, as we will probably do. I'm still wondering if I want to do that actually during the course of the course, because I don't want it restricted only to the time now. I like to do that as an astrologer. And one thing we see is the lunar nodes at the ascendant-descendant axis. So that's cool. Aquarius on the rise. Yeah, good time for astronomy and these technologies like Stellarium. All right, so I think enough of that right now. We're going to get into Stellarium. So I will open that up. In the first Stellarium training video, which you may or may not have seen yet, and I suggest you go there first, we looked at the location and how to create a custom location in case you're looking for a birth city or a current city or whatever. It may be town, village that's not in the Stellarium list of places. We looked at how to elect to see some of these different curves and lines and things in the sky. So you can check out that video, review that video. One of our journey agents asked if I would be creating a PDF document of reminders, and the answer to that is no. This is not a Stellarium course, right? This Stellarium is a vehicle we will use for our journey, but I've got plenty of course content, Sacred Astronomy course content to consider. Maybe later I could create a Stellarium PDF or something like that. But right now I'm creating these videos, which include barking dogs and power tools. I hope that's not too annoying. Just so you can find your way around this genius free planetarium software that I will certainly utilize to transmit the information of the course. And I encourage you also to play with on your own. So the homework assignment, optional mission, if you choose to accept it after the first training course, was to cast your birth chart in this fashion in astronomy, right? So in astronomy here, I can see the galactic center with Saturn as the eye of the Ouroboros, somewhere here in the 11th house. And I can see that Antares is, applying to culminate at the midheaven and other things. And that's what the content of the course will be, in a more energetic and reverent way, looking into these sacred points like the angles of the chart and the cross of matter inside the circle of spirit and some of the other circles. All right, so today I want to get through, or in this session, I want to get through these different menus here, just so you can kind of get see your way around Stellarium. I'm going to try to do this quickly, so in case you want to review this video, you don't have to watch 3 hours of content every time. Also, if you want to ask Stellarium questions in the question and answer session or section on the Facebook page or during the question and answer sessions of the course, that's fine. I will address them after any course content if there is time. I'm way more interested in talking about why is this the cross of matter and this the circle of spirit. What is a meridian and the horizon? What is the ecliptic? What is the celestial equator? Things like that. What is Spica at southern latitude? Why would Altair be seen at this place of the zodiac? And other wonderful journeys into the marriage of heaven and earth. I sure hope this sound out here is not too annoying for you guys. Inside, it was nieces and nephew running around, and was, I think, even a little bit more chaotic than this other option. And there's a lot to do, so I want to transmit now. All right, so I looked earlier in the first video about bringing up these menus and keeping them up. So I'm going to go back to kind of the default style, which was to not have those menus there, I think. Right, so there they go. All right, so there are menus on the left and menus below. And if you hover over the left and below, sometimes they'll both pop up. Sometimes there's a delay of them showing up and going away, as you might see with my mouse, right? Can hover down here, and eventually there's that lower menu pops up. And what I learned actually during the first transmission or Stellarium training video is I can hit this play button over here and keep that up. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's like serious dog barking racket going on. I feel like I should join that journey. So here's this other menu. I'm gonna hit play, and that keeps these up. And if I wanted to keep that up, and this is just a very important place in the Stellarium menus we'll go to again and again, the monkey wrench and the star is the configuration window. If I click on that, on like the main page of the configuration window, we'll see save settings. So one setting I just changed, and I actually didn't because I had already saved this, but I want to see these menus up here. So save settings, okay? So if you make a change, go and click Save Settings so that the next time you open the program, if it's a change you want to keep, it will keep that. All right, so one thing that bugs me in Stellarium is this. See the December Leonis Minorids and the quad? All these different asteroid meteor showers show up. And it's actually this button right here. So I like having that off. And I have found in Stellarium that even when I go to configuration, after I turn that off, save settings, it didn't used to be this way in the old Stellarium. I'm going to quit Stellarium now, and I'm going to open it again. And the hope is that those will be gone, and yet here they are. There's something about Stellarium that needs me to learn about these asteroids, I guess. By the way, notice how the menus, well, now they're back. They were gone for a second. There's a way, I think we'll see it maybe in this video or the next one, where I can turn those asteroids off, those meteor showers off to stay, which for me personally, I wish to do. Okay, so let's look through this bottom menu first. The power button, I guess, maybe quit Stellarium. Indeed. Right, so let's get back in. I've never pushed that button before. That makes sense. So that was basic. That's quit. Okay, good. Fast forward. And there's many various degrees of fast forward. So I just clicked that twice. You can see everything moving. Here's 3 clicks. You can see over on the left over here, when I have my mouse hovered above the fast forward button, do you see how it says increase time speed, L? So that means my keyboard shortcut is L. And I don't need to write that in a PDF because you can just hover over that thing and that pops up right there, L. Okay? So here's L. Notice the ecliptic's getting higher at that time of day. What's that about? Here's L again. And now it's going maniacal. Here's L again. Oh my gosh. Right, so I'm going to hit play. And we'll bring it back down to a slow and steady speed. Play is real time. All right, so if I bring up my clock, how do I do that? Here's the clock menu, right? We will see that we're clicking through seconds, 1 second, every second of real time. This is the real time, 8:24:10 a.m. right now. Where I am in Monterey, California. All right. So I can click fast forward a whole bunch of times and go nuts. I can click rewind a whole bunch of times and go nuts backwards, which is like stun, I think, is nuts backwards. Right, so if that's going too crazy, I can hit play, all right? And I can hit pause, and now you'll see that the time isn't clicking. By the way, if I click on date and time, you'll see that shows up. Sometimes this happens, and you're like, wait, what's going on? That's because you can see in date and time, there's a date and time, and there's a Julian day menu. All right, so this is the Julian calendar day. I don't know what MJD is. But here's date and time, the way that we're more used to seeing things. And if I'm clicking somewhere on Stellarium itself, like I could click Spica, that's going to go dim the date and time box. If I click on date and time, it shows up again. And oftentimes I'll click on it here by accident, Julian day. So I just need to go back over to click on day and time and see day and time the way I'm used to seeing it. Of course, we can move that around. All right. I want to go back in here. See all this information that just came up when I click Spica? color index and magnitude range, a bunch of stuff that I don't want to see, and we're going to look maybe in this video or in the next one about how we can tone that down a little bit, all right? But either way, so I can just, here's Jupiter, I can click on whoever. If I want all that to go away, if I want to unselect something, I right-click. In a Mac, that can be a command click. I have my trackpad set to 2-finger click. That's on your computer side. Again, I'm not your IT guy. I'm really not your Stellarium guy. I love you. I'm your Sacred Astronomy guy, all right? So if you've got questions about trackpads and how to set that up, I'm just not the dude. I'm sorry. I love you. Many of us have like dear friendships, but I have a lot of other things to be considering. So please, if you have like a, how do I right-click on a Mac question, Google that. Right? Or the search engine of your choice, please. If you have Stellarium questions, go to Stellarium questions and answers before you come to me, please. If you have Sacred Astronomy questions, I am your guy. And again, I will address some Stellarium questions at the very end of question and answer sessions for Sacred Astronomy, if there is time. All right. But now let's get through these menus together, because these training videos are a further encouragement for you to download this free planetarium software and to play around. You'll learn so much just by playing in here. You'll learn a lot more by playing out under the sky. But, you know, under the sky, I can't do things like fast forward or slowly rewind and see how change appears over time. That's interesting, by the way. I just noticed that for the first time. If I'm fast forwarding, I can also change what we saw, L, to increase the rate. Well, I could push rewind. I thought I was going to jump over to rewind, but what it does is it slows down the fast forward, I'm sure, until it gets to stop. And then it's going to kick in rewind mode. So this is stop, and here's rewind mode. I can tell because I'm looking at the seconds over here, and then I can click rewind more. Do you see as I'm hovering over the rewind button that over here it says decrease time J? So now I just learned another keyboard shortcut if I want. L increases time forward. So there we go. J decreases time backwards. And I love that. I often accidentally get out of control like this. And now it's nice to know that I can hit J and just slow down my forward for presentations or whatever. So again, every time I open this program, I learn something new. All right, so here's me hitting J several times. And now we're going backwards in time. Pretty cool, because I have not yet sorted out how to do that under the big screen, under the sky. Oh, maybe there's a few techniques I've sorted out in that way. How also do I just go to the moment now? Here's this button, set time to now, and you can see I'm pointing over here because it's showing the shortcut. That is, so set time to now is also the shortcut 8. So I'll just hit 8. But I hit 8 and I'm also stuck on that speed of fast forward. So I can hit 8 and it comes to right now and then begins fast rewinding again. I don't necessarily want that, right? So how to get to right now? First I'm going to hit play. Then I'm going to hit pause. And look at that, set normal time rate K. So it's right here in my keyboard, this grouping, and you can see on your keyboard J, K, and L, they are left, middle, and right respectively. Well, J brings me back in time at varying rates. K will turn me to regular speed play, and so I'm now 1 second per second in Stellarium real time, I think. Actually, I have to go 8 to go to real time, and now I'm at K, regular speed, L, full speed ahead if I hit it several times, okay? K will bring me back to normal speed play, but I'm on January 5th. I can hit the 8 button, and now I'm on January 1st at 9:41 and 9, 10, 11 seconds, real time. I can hit the 7 button, and that pauses the whole trip. And in fact, I guess if I hover over pause, no, I don't know. I'll just tell you that 7 pauses the thing as a keyboard shortcut. Or you can hover here and hit pause. So we have various speeds of forward. We have bring it to right now. We have pause and play, toggling here. We have various speeds of rewind. Satellite hints. Yeah, well, I'm not personally, as I'm trying to discover how to see the chart in the sky, interested in satellites in any way. All right. So I'm going to turn that off. And in fact, now that I have, I'm going to go to right now. I am going to turn that satellite on and off. I'm going to do a couple other things before I save settings, but I want to save settings so that doesn't come turned on. This button, ocular view. Please select an object before switching to ocular view. So let's just show what that is. If I'm looking at Antares, heart of the scorpion, and then I hit ocular view. Let's see, suddenly it's as if I'm looking through a narrow lens, through a telescope at that guy, right? Well, that's kind of cool. And Stellarium, I believe, can be used to help control a computerized driver for an actual telescope. And so there's some of those features are built in here that we won't use. I mean, like I'm seeing over here, I can change different lenses and stuff and things. Like, we're just not going to deal with that telescope business up there, but you might want to look into that. I'm more interested in the big view. So I'm going to get out of ocular view here, and we're back on Earth, which is great. Though somehow the ground got turned from flat. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm just clicked my mouse anywhere here. There's a double click to take that information about Antares away. Clicking my mouse and dragging to the right and dragging to the left and dragging up and dragging down, listening to that car sound, right? So I can just click on Stellarium and move it around a bit. Other keyboard shortcuts that we looked at before were cardinal directions. If I hit Shift S, I'm looking south. I prefer to look south when I'm looking from the northern hemisphere, as I am here in Monterey, California, because that's where the midheaven is, and that's for our course content, all right? So back to these menus. What's this? Show search dialog. Meteor showers search. I don't know what's up with that. I'm really not interested in that or in meteor showers for the content of this course. I'm turning this meteor showers off, and for some reason, it just doesn't go away. I really don't understand, but I'm going to show you how we can take that out. Permanently, although not permanently, temporarily, but so that every time you start up, the meteor shower button's not open. If it is, and it probably will be, I think, for you too, one of the first things that I used to always do when I turned on my Stellarium would be to go down here and unselect that. And we're going to show you a way to kind of more permanently, or at least longer temporarily wise, turn that meteor shower button off. Because, I mean, it might be sweet to learn where all the meteor showers are in the tropical zodiac and whatever. That's not my trip, not for this course anyway. So that's meteor showers. What's this? And again, I'm looking right here where the two menus meet, because as I hover over these things, sometimes it takes a little while. Show exoplanets, okay? So you see all that stuff show up, right? So those are planets that we have discovered or theoretically discovered using astronomical techniques around other stars, which is amazing. And we might want to explore all of those. And you might want to find out, for example, where 70 Virgo, this very dim star that actually has a planetary system. I chose actually not a star, a planetary system, where that projects to in the tropical zodiac, which will be somewhere around, I'm saying 20 degrees Libra. But I'm not interested in that either, so I turn these off. Okay, and double click or right click to get all that information away about 70 Virgo. All right, so now in this portion of the menus, I have everything unselected, and that's how I will plan to keep it. And in fact, I'm going to go and save my settings. So configuration window, monkey wrench star, save settings, because I've done that. All right. What's over here? Full screen mode. All right, and so I can toggle back and forth between full screen. You see that it just got lit up. or come back into not full screen mode, you'll see that there's a little bit of a delay. Like I clicked this full screen button a while ago. Actually, it just didn't feel my click. All right. So in not full screen mode, then like any window, I can just select to choose the size of the Stellarium window and all that. And I can toggle back and forth a little bit more easily from between my astronomy and my astrology software. And the way Zoom video works, I can see my camera here when I'm working in not full screen. And I want to do that and make sure I'm, you know, getting my hair properly adjusted. Right. So all that stuff's dimmed out. Here's the full screen button. What's this one? Night mode. Okay. Why night mode? So if I click that, we're going infrared style. Not infrared or we wouldn't see it, but dim red. Okay. You could probably adjust that color and dimness somewhere else. Why would I do that? Well, if I'm out under the sky and I want to bring my laptop with me, which I don't, but if I did, I would want to dim this so the whole light of my computer screen is not blowing out the sky so I can also see the stars, right? So for astronomers who are using this for telescopes, it's a, you know, beautiful button. We won't use it. Great. What's this thing? Center on selected object. I probably have to select an object first. So here we go. I'll just choose Altair, and then I'm going to center on selected object. Looks like the space bar will do that for me too. See how it says center on selected object in brackets space? That means the space bar is a keyboard shortcut for that. Wonderful. I'd like to go back to where I was, and I don't think there's an undo button in Stellarium. Not one that I found yet so far, but I know I can shift S to look to the cardinal direction south. It looks like first I have to unselect center on selected object, which I just did. And now I'm going to shift S. Now I'm looking south again. But I need to bring the ground up. And I'm wondering if there's a keyboard shortcut I have not yet learned that makes the ground level. I look forward to learning that button if there is one. Right click to get all that information away. And I'm going to show you, I think in this video, how to get less information. I'm also seeing that because this menu's off the screen, I moved my Stellarium so that it's off the screen somewhat. So I'm going to make it smaller and then get it so we're looking at all of it on my desktop, because I know that's what's being broadcast to you and recorded for later review in this moment. All right. So there we go. Here this is the next one. We were switched between equatorial and azimuthal mount. Actually, just even contemplating what those things might mean opens up a window to astrology, but we're not going to do that in this way through this button. Forget about it. I'm glad it's not selected. I'm glad this one is. It looks like Saturn and it's the planets, which interestingly enough includes the sun and the moon. I thought this was going to take the planets away, but it's not. You can see here, it's planet labels, okay? And there's a weird shortcut showing Macintosh and button and P. But here I'm just going to click that back on, and you can see the labels for Sun and Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter, Mars are so closely conjoined. The actual conjunction is January 6th, where I live, that their names are bleeding right here, right? But so clicking that will bring the planet names in and out. Deep sky objects. If I click that, I'm going to see a gazillion clusters and nebula and other things that I'm not concerned with right now, though they are cool to look at. All right, we looked at this button in the first session of Stellarium Training, which is the atmosphere button. So if the sun's above the horizon, the atmosphere is going to take all the other planets away from our view, like reality. Yeah, sometimes you can see the moon. I've actually seen Venus culminate during broad daylight. It's a rare thing. But as we're looking at where the planets are on the chart, it's good to see that in, and just to know that if the sun's above the horizon, it's going to look a lot more like this. There probably aren't lines in the sky either, are there? Just realizing that my keyboard shortcuts are all different than they once were. Changes to make. All right, so there's atmosphere, and you can see here the keyboard shortcut is A. And really, better than this video, like let this be an invitation to you, the best thing you can do is open your Stellarium and go play with all these things yourself, right? That's when you'll get to learn them. Somebody telling you what they are is not nearly as effective as you experiencing what they are, right? Right. This is not how I was taught in school. I was taught to memorize whatever the person said and to write that on the test and then forget about it so I can create some space to learn the new thing and memorize, regurgitate, rinse, and repeat, instead of being taught to learn for myself. I hope that I can stay truer to that later philosophy as we move along. All right, so let's move along. The compass rose, cardinal points. And I click it, and there goes S and E over on the left and W on the right, east, south, and west. And you can see also that there's a keyboard shortcut showing the brackets Q. So Q will bring the cardinal directions in and out. Fantastic. And this one is the ground, G. So ground goes away and comes back in. In the first video, I showed how to keep that horizon line up there. If you didn't do that, or if you did it but didn't save it, you're not going to see the horizon. We'll show you how to get there again before this video ends. All right, there's the ground. And then these grids, azimuthal grid, okay? Azimuth, altitude up and down, all right? Up and down. And these look like, here's 10 degree slices of altitude, where 90 degrees is directly overhead at the zenith, right? So I can look up right here and we'll see that this azimuthal grid is centered on the zenith, which is directly overhead. 90 degrees altitude, all right? 0 degrees is the ground. And just at the level of zoom, if I zoom in more, we're going to see this grid, I think, adjust to reflect that. Yeah, now this looks like that first bar is 5 and 10 degrees, okay? Zoom out some, here's 10 and 20 degrees, right? So zooming in and out of Stellarium will adjust those grids automatically. This grid, this azimuthal grid, is aligned to the azimuth. What is azimuth? So altitude up and down, from 0 to 90. Azimuth horizontally on the horizon, 0 degrees. Let me look north. I'll go Shift N, and we will see, I guess I have to look up a little bit. And I'm zooming in here, and it's weird. It shows them up there for some reason. Anyway, the convention, I guess you can see it here, is that due north is 0 degrees azimuth everywhere in the world, okay? And then we move, I guess what we would call clockwise. From north, east is 90 degrees. So I'm just going to move my mouse. This is the right cursor button on my mouse. And you can see 90 degrees coming down to meet east. South by azimuth is 180 degrees. And west, 270 degrees. All right. So this azimuthal grid will show us these divisions along the horizon, azimuth, and in altitude. All right. So from the horizon, 0 degrees, 90 degrees zenith due above. They probably show negative 90 degrees as the nadir, it's called, exactly down through the ground below, right? So the opposite point of the zenith, which is right above your head in the moment now, is the nadir down below. Many people believe that the midheaven and the IC of the chart are straight above and straight below. Wrong. Right twice a day, if and only if you are between the tropics, and that's like for later in the course, all right? But this azimuthal grid aligned to the azimuth, the horizontal measure, will show you altitude and azimuth. Great. Take that away, and we'll take this away. So azimuthal grid, I see that it's currently set as a shortcut Z. So there's my Z keyboard button, bringing it in and out. Equatorial grid. What is the equatorial grid? Let's bring it in with the keyboard shortcut E, which, by the way, I'm going to change. But I could also use this button. All right. 0 degrees on the equatorial grid, which is here. How do I know? I can see 10 degrees, 20 degrees. So 20, 10, 0. And I also know, and soon you will for sure, if you do not already, that the celestial equator, or the 0 degree arc on a equatorial grid, always, no matter where you are, goes through the cardinal directions, east and west. I don't want to describe why that is today, because in a more reverent, sacred, graceful, and playful way, we are going to be exploring that in chapter 1 of our web course. So take that away for now. But basically, this is Earth, spinning ball-ish thing, the celestial equator. Okay, so if we project the perpendicularity of the spin of Earth, which is day, right, out towards space, we find the celestial equator, which I feel like, trying to read, there it is. Okay, that blue arc right there is the celestial equator. And that's going to look like, if you're at the equator, it's going to go right over your head. If you're at the North Pole, it's going to be on the horizon. We'll look at why in the first chapter of our course, starting very soon, right? But just to show you that this is the center point for an equatorial grid. And the pole points here are going to be where the axis of the spin points. In the north, we call that, I'll look shift N to look north. In the north, we call that Polaris. Yeah, North Star in our time. More on that much later, and how to find Polaris using the Dipper and using Cassiopeia, and what is the equivalent in the southern hemisphere, and all sorts of things. Because some of you are in New Zealand, Australia, so we're certainly not going to make this only limited to the northern hemisphere view. All right, but I'm just doing this in Monterey because I'm sitting here. So I'm going to take this grid away. I'm going to use the shortcut button to take the celestial equator away. I'd like to bring the ecliptic back in. All right, so there are these buttons here, the grid buttons, and we will utilize those sometimes. And here, this little running man is constellation art. All right, so here are these beings. One way to draw the Western image of these constellations, like Ophiuchus and Virgo, though you will hear me call her priestess, since constellations and signs are very different things. Okay, whether you are a tropical astrologer, which I think most of us are, or a sidereal astrologer, we'll look at the difference between the two. Unless you're a constellational astrologer, and I don't know any of them really, I'm kind of one of them, and I hope you will be too, but I'm a tropical astrologer who honors the constellations. The constellations and signs are different things. All right, so anyway, this R button, or this running man icon, is how I can bring the constellation art in and out, which is a fun thing to do. One thing that will happen, though, maybe when you bring them in, is like, what the heck? Right now the sun's in Capricorn, and here it is aligned right to the head of the archer that they call Sagittarius. What's going on? That's one of the things we certainly will embrace and get deep into during the course of this course. All right, so we'll take that fellow away, and next door, constellation labels. So here the Capricorn sun in Sagittarius. What? Which you will hear me call the archer. And take those constellation labels away. They're good for learning. The archer, which by the way does not look like this cartoon in space, but rather looks like some stars. And if I learn the constellational patterns, I can draw some lines between those stars and see the archer, begin to see that form with my face, or the teapot, as many of us call it, this asterism here that actually looks like a teapot pouring steam, which is the Milky Way. Okay, should we go up these left menus as well now, or do that as video number 3? I think I'll go with the latter. So we have shorter videos to review if you wish. So I'm going to change the title of this one to Stellarium Lower Menus, and then I'll do another video. I'm going to start right now of the left menu bar. I'm going to start in about 10 minutes, actually. So there's more about Stellarium. I really invite you to get in here, learn your way around, and play with the software. Start just by casting your chart and loved ones' charts like we do in astrology. This is astrology, actually. All right, friends, love and planets. See you soon.